Hello from the good administrator. I'm on holiday this week. I'm in the at the moment I'm in the Łagiewniczki forest. It's a little bit to the north of Łódź, which is kind of a little bit near Warsaw, but not exactly. And yes, it's very nice to be on holiday. Now, the reason I've come to Poland is because, well, one of the good administrator's friends, who would like to see things change in her country, suggested that I do a video about Poland. So I decided to do a video about Poland while I'm here on holiday. Now you'll see it's very quiet in the forest. It's very beautiful, and I've dressed up in Polish colours, although actually it should more be like, it should be upside down, like a white. The red and white comes from a white eagle or a white knight riding on a red shield. And you'll see actually my trusty steed is just behind me there. And you have to be careful in the forest because this is actually quite a very natural forest, and there's a lot of wild pigs or boars live here. And if one of them should come along, especially if it has some babies, then I'm going to have to make a bit of a run for it on my trusty steed over there. And the other thing that could happen in the dangerous forest, if we just come around here, as you'll see behind me, a tree that's been struck by lightning. So if it starts to storm, I have to also make a very quick exit from the forest, because you don't want to get stuck in a forest in the storm, because as you see, lightning strikes and it brings the trees down. Now, this is very important, actually, part of the forest. And if you look on the ground around here, you'll see that there's a lot of wood lying on the ground. This is very good. And because it all goes fungal. And when I came here before, I found a little tree, or what used to be a tree. I'll just come down here and have a closer look at it, because it's very pretty. And this used to be a tree, and it's rotting away. And actually what's very exciting down here is that, well, in several places, it's a little bit difficult to show you because they're very small, but all the way around here in a little ring are little bits of fungus, and they're starting to grow in a circle around the stump. Let's see if I can show you some. Oh yes. So we just have a little look down here. I hope you can see it. It's a little bit hard to hold onto the camera at the same time, but there's just some fungus down here, and well, they're very small. But this is a very important part of the ecosystem, and all kinds of flora, like all kinds of insects, kind of live in these kinds of rotting pieces of wood. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the forest later on. And actually, as you know, we're not in the biggest, most important forest in Poland. We're in a smaller one, also very important. But what's really important here was like, oh look, yes, I just give a little push here to ex-Berliner, because this week I'm an ex-Berliner. I'm outside Berlin. And I'm also like down here, some other friends of mine actually in Berlin. This is my Club of Polish Losers bag. And because the good administrator, a lot of you might not know, is that I used to live in Poland. It was a long time ago, at the end of 1998, and a lot of 1999, and then later in 2000. I'd come here and do some singing and different things like that, and so I've got my red and white Polish bag, and I've got my white ex-Berliner bag, and but actually I'm just going to take this beautiful bag, and I'm going to sit down on it, get a little bit more comfortable in the forest, and tell you a little story in this beautiful setting. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about the Law and Justice Party, who have been in control of Poland for a wee while now. Now, in Polish, law and justice is, how do you say it? You say it, prawo I sprawiedliwość. So it's kind of like, prawo is meant to be like law. It can also mean right, and or correct sometimes, and sprawiedliwość, justice. Now, this party, well, they're a little bit unnatural because they have this name and they say they're about law and justice. This peace party. Peace, you say it in Polish, peace. P-I-S, P-E-S, peace, peace. But, I'm not Polish, so I usually say piss. And, so let's just say they're a bit special. And they've done a lot of things that aren't really about law and justice. Like, one of the things they did in 2015 was that they kind of did a bit of cancel culture, and they cancelled all of the judges that they didn't like, that didn't agree with them. And then they set up this other kind of, so they took control of the courts. It's not very democratic. And then they, I don't know, they kept on doing this kind of thing. And the EU was like, you're very naughty. But actually this week there is there has been some good administration, because Poland's actually said to the EU, well, you're threatening us with having to pay a lot of money, and so we're going to have to also cancel our own disciplinary court for the judges that we don't like. We're going to have to cancel it. So this is actually some good news. Hopefully that's going to happen. And that's just one thing. And I like to start with some good news. And the other good news is that there's a TV channel in Poland. Now, on the day I was leaving from Berlin, I was listening to the news, terrible things about people having to escape from Afghanistan, but also some terrible news about TVN24, this independent TV channel. It's the most popular channel in Poland, actually. It's owned by Discovery Channel, and it's been running for years quite happily. It's doing some good news, telling good news stories, and the Polish government was like, well, it's foreign owned. We don't like this very much, and we're gonna cancel foreign ownership, and so that might mean that TVN24 wouldn't have their license renewed at the end of September. But because Poland is in the EU, they actually they're able to get a Dutch TV license. So that was some good news. And so even if they lose their Polish license, they're going to be able to continue to broadcast in Poland because they'll have a Dutch TV license. So yay, communities. It's very nice. And we like to have a little bit of help from our friends. Now okay, back to peace. So the other thing that they're a bit strange. They don't understand that the things that they think are not, well, the things that they think, they say that there's some things that are against nature, but actually they don't have a very good understanding of biology. Because, for example, everyone knows that in nature you see evidence of homosexuality all the time. There's the case of the famous gay penguins, for example, and other many stories like this. I won't bore you with many stories, but also like humans, and we being gay being queer, it's normal. But there was one of the co-founders, now the Peace, was founded by these twin brothers. No, it's two guys, but one of them, Lech Raczynski, he said some silly things about perversion. He said, we don't want to meet these kinds of people, but, he's dead now. He did an unnatural thing. He went up in a plane and it crashed. And it was very sad. And I'm sure that his brother, who's still lurking around, was also very sad. Oh, it's starting to rain. I better speed it up a bit. But no thunder and lightning yet. But yeah, so he said some weird things. Anyway, what he said, it's not natural. And then the other thing they've been doing is they've been trying to cancel abortion. I mean, oh no. I just, I think it's very difficult to get an abortion now in Poland. Imagine if you were carrying a baby, or if you were also a father of a baby that only had half a head. Well, you look inside, you're very excited to see your baby on the scan for the first time, and then you see that your baby's got half a head. Well, under the Polish law, those people would have to continue with that pregnancy of this poor baby with half a head until it was born. Now, this is wrong. And so this is another, if we can help this, we don't want to put people through this kind of suffering. It's not natural. So, this is another thing. Talk about cancel culture. I think it's another thing that Peace has kind of got a bit wrong. And so a lot of people are fighting. I was actually just by the headquarters of Peace in Łódź last night, and there's still a little coat hanger on the side of the building because people go and demonstrate there. Like, a lot of people are very disturbed about the Polish government, and so they've been having demos there. And actually, even this Peace had to remove their party signage from the outside of the building to take less attention from themselves. But I'm drawing attention to them now because, they can't go invisible. I mean, anyway, they are the government. They're not that invisible. But, now the other thing, there's just so many things. I had to write a list because there's so many things. They're also, at the moment, they're putting barbed wire on the border with Belarus to stop refugees from crossing the border. Now, I hope they don't try to do that in Białowieża, which is the most important forest in Poland, because then the bison wouldn't be able to go backwards and forwards. They're quite big. It's difficult to jump over this giant rolls of barbed wire. But, fortunately there are some good Polish people, and they are actually giving water and food to some of the refugees who are there at the border. So, those good people aren't anti-refugee. I mean, what is it? If we were refugees, we'd all want a bit of help. And, under EU law, actually, Poland should be helping refugees. But, this is another thing that's kind of not natural about them. And also, you would say that it's a little bit not Christian, surprising in a country that's really kind of dominated by the Catholic Church and Christianity. Oh, I'm just feeding a mosquito there. There are some mosquitoes in the forest. Unfortunately, I think I've actually had to kill that one. Better them than me. Now, so we're hoping that the barbed wire isn't going to last for too long. But now we're going to come back to the other thing, logging. Now, they're not logging in this forest, but you might remember there was a bit of a scandal a few years ago because Peace was logging Białowieża. Now, I visited Białowieża a long time ago. I visited there in 1999, and I was very lucky. I got to spend a week in the forest. I got to go into the closed reserve and help count some, kind of observe a three-toed woodpecker nest. It was very exciting, and I knew I probably wasn't going to see any lynx. There's lynx lynx live there. I didn't see any lynxes. I heard frogs singing at night, singing just like mad. There's thousands and thousands of frogs there, which is a really good sign of very healthy ecosystem. But that was a long time ago. And now Björnfjäll, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it's the only remaining primeval lowland forest in Europe. It's unique. About 45% of it is in Poland and 55% of it is in Belarus. And the bison trip-trap across the border, which is just an invisible line in the forest floor. And because it's an old primeval forest, there's all kinds of amazing fungi there, huge diverse wildlife. It's just beautiful. A lot of mosquitoes. You really want to take some mosquito repellent, smear it all over you before you go there if you go there. The bison are the really most important, exciting animals there. They were reintroduced after they'd all been hunted out, and then it's like the largest bison herd in Europe is in Björnfjäll. Now, the forest, like the lynx and the wolves and like everything from the tiniest little insects to the fungus that's underneath the trees, like the fungus network. It's a bit like the World Wide Web, but for fungus. And like everything, all the flowers that grow in the spring and then, the rotting wood, everything. It really depends on this diversity of wildlife. But the Polish government, now, they don't have very good scientists. All the kind of the good administrative scientists, including the EU ones, and a lot of good administrative, like good scientists of Poland, know that when you get an outbreak of spruce bark beetle, it kills the spruce trees. It happens about once every 10 to 15 years, but it's a natural event. And what that happens is then it puts a lot of dead wood, like, we saw this like dead wood lying around here as well, but it puts like a lot of dead wood into the forest, and that's what makes that ecosystem rich. So anyway, but the Polish government said, no, spruce bark beetle, it's an outbreak, we have to control it. But really it was just an excuse to log trees, old growth trees over 100 years old, maybe some even older. They were just cutting down all these trees and taking it out. Now, okay, logging can be important for jobs, but actually, as we all know, with climate change, forests, we need these old forests. They're a carbon sink. So anyway, okay, this is quite a long story. But, so in 2018, they suspended logging. The EU, like, again, very naughty. They suspended it, but earlier on this year, they said, we're going to start again. Now, it seems very strange to me that they don't listen to the majority of scientists who know what they're talking about. They don't seem to understand all the other things about the need to help refugees and the need to accept all kinds of people, like all the gay people, to help people that, can't have the situation to raise children, all these kind of, all these kinds of things. They're kind of unnatural thinking, and I thought, why? What is causing this? And so I looked to permaculture, and I discovered that a nitrogen deficiency in the brain can cause problems with thinking. So now forests are very rich in nitrogen, and also rich in carbon. We talked about before, they're rich in all kinds of other things like phosphorus, all kinds of minerals. And now, how do I explain this? It should be easy. I'm just getting a little bit tired because this video has been going on for a long time, but we're almost finished, don't worry. So, yes, nitrogen deficiency. And where can we get nitrogen from? Well, actually, if we want to do something personally we actually have a source of nitrogen in our bodies. And also, now before I show you this source of nitrogen in our bodies, we've got it literally on tap. I'm just going to say, like another kind of permaculture related thing, we don't want to talk about shoveling shit. We need to kind of try to work with piss. We need to try to work with them. And so we have to have compassion for them, just like we have to have compassion for refugees and compassion for everybody, and compassion for spruce bark beetles as well, for that instance. Compassion for fungus. And so I'm just going to call a spade, because a lot of people don't want to say it, but this kind of demagogy, or demagoguery, some people call it, other people call it fascism. We don't really want to have more fascism. It's not nice. So now I'm going to get to solving the solution, because we have this other kind of saying. This is a very famous saying in permaculture. The problem is the solution. So, as we see, there is a nitrogen deficiency. And now I've got up off my bag. Now, here we go. Our nitrogen source is inside our bodies. Yes. I'm just going to take a pee. Urine is a really good source of nitrogen. Here I am, the white steed on the red shield. I'm trying to do my bit because I love Poland. Here we go. You can't hear it. It's just going straight into the forest floor, which is very damp and rich with all kinds of flora. That's better. And I've just given a little bit of nitrogen, not too much, because we know that excess of nitrogen is also a problem, but I've made a little contribution to Poland to try to help. So I just urge you, everybody, if you think it might help, do a little symbolic action and piss on